You're listening to the Wired for Impact podcast.
Are you in the crypto space? Do you have expertise there? What do you think is happening there? Are we heading into a blockchain future? That seems like they're building the infrastructure for that.
Right. So I think, first of all, I think crypto is a great space. I'm a big fan. If crypto can replace the US dollar and in its anonymity, whereby if I give you $5, no one knows that transaction apart from me and you. And that has always been an element of discretion and confidentiality. I now give you $1,000. Why should the world get involved in knowing that transaction?
Right.
Why do I have to go to my bank and transfer $1,000 to Peter when I could really just give you $1,000 in cash? They want the transactions to monitor exactly what you're doing. They call it anti-money laundering. That was brought in by Barack Obama. It's trash. There's no reason for anti-money laundering. Believe you me, there's nothing better to oil the system than cash. I'm not talking about money laundering. I'm talking about cash.
Right.
Cash oils the system. The system has to be oiled. And that allows the flow of money. When the flow of money is not easy, then the system becomes cranky. What I love about crypto, and this is something as long as the governments and the authorities don't wreck it, crypto allows peer-to-peer transfers, peer-to-peer payments, allows the anonymity and the speed of the transaction within seconds, and you can use it and has a supported value by demand. It doesn't have intrinsic value. I repeat that. No intrinsic value. Gold has intrinsic value, but there's no intrinsic value with cryptos. However, I would love to see crypto as a parallel or alternative option for payments globally. So if I'm going to buy some furniture in a shop, I would like to then send my Bitcoin or Ethereum over to the merchant. I want to go back on one particular point, Peter. We're talking about nonstop about the value of the currency, the fiat currency. The dollar's been devalued for the last 100 years. It's just going down and down and down. And it's going on the track where it's going to be eventually low value. I wouldn't say worthless, it's going to be very low value. But what does a person want in life? Let's talk about simple. They want shelter, they want food, and they want warmth. That's all from the outside elements. If you give those three basic things to a person, he's fine. It doesn't need all the Bitcoins, the cryptos, and the massive tower blocks in Manhattan, in a Miami villa on the beach. So the society has got a little bit ahead of itself by wanting these Lamborghinis and Porsches and one thing and the other. That's just natural desire, that materialism we want to grow. But really, cryptos have to be effectively used whereby it's an alternative to the dollar. I'm not sure the governments are going to allow that to happen, but I'm a big fan of crypto. I didn't used to be. I had faith in the US government, I had faith in the UK government, but unfortunately, my faith has been withered away, especially with the cost of housing and just free for all immigrants that come from all over the world. They're often terrorists and gangs and criminals, and they're getting social benefits and thinking, why am I paying this tax? Why am I paying 40, 50% tax? So I can give a house to some criminal who's going to plant a bomb or go and stab or rape some girls in Germany or whatever the case may be. Enough. And that's the problem. The problem started in the 1990s, not now. When the minute there was the glasnost and perestroika, the breaking down of the borders in Eastern Europe, and the Eastern Europeans moved over, and then the US and the UK and the Europeans allowed Middle East and North Africa, which is different culture, different mentality, not Western mentality. And I want to retract something, by the way. It's not a slur on the Eastern Europeans. They are great hard workers. You take Polish, Hungarian, the Russians, they are hard workers. They are tough. They are willing. They are part of the culture. They want to build their families. But when you're bringing in cultures that want to destroy and just think, oh, they are thinking the same as us. They're not thinking the same as us. A Westerner does not think the same as a Middle Easterner. It doesn't happen. They're two separate, and that's one of the failings. Anyhow.
I think on that note, just really quickly, that there's a difference between different cultures and one that is a bigoted, maybe racist perspective. I think I think reasonable people can say, hey, look, just the clash of these cultures is an issue in and of itself, enough that we ought to bring some level of care and concern about this. Let's go back to crypto for a second. What are some of the assets that you like? What's your strategy for this coming crypto bull run?
Right. So I can see, I hope you're sitting down, you're standing up.
No,
So
I'm
I see
sitting.
Bitcoin going to 100,000 in 2024, pulling back on profit taking, and then going above 100,000 in 2025.
Okay.
And once it goes above 100,000, it's going to go to 150, 180, 200. Bitcoin is terrific. I love it. You've got Ethereum, which is also a great platform for being used because of its clearing system. And you've got XRP. Now, XRP, I've mentioned that I like XRP, and then on Instagram, I got a load of pushback. It's trash. It's a waste of time. It's just the whole of crypto is binary. It's either up or it's down. There's no fundamentals to crypto. I can't go on Instagram every day and say, wow, so we're going to look at now the inflation and interest and the impact on what's going to have on Bitcoin. It's irrelevant. It's got no fundamentals to it. It gone up. There's no profit ratio. There's no PE ratio. There's nothing. So it's a very black and white, up or down. However, because of this, especially Bitcoin, and because it is the flagship of the crypto industry and the blockchain setup, I think you're going to have a greater and greater growing interest from Joe public in cryptos. There's very few people now that have not heard of crypto. Very few people have not heard of it. And a lot of people, I won't say most, but a lot of people are invested, trading, or using it as an alternative asset. So in 2024, I see it as a great year. However, there's always got to be a warning. If there is a market fallout of 30, 40%, and we could be talking about stagflation of the 1970s, which is a huge topic in itself, based on the Fed cutting interest rates too early, but if there is a fallout in financial markets, then the crypto sector will fall out with the investment. It's not immune. It's not an alternative. It's not a safe haven. It's not. If I talk about safe havens, I want to be absolutely clear. Safe havens are, at the moment, US dollar, US Treasury, and gold. If there is an economic crisis of a recession, gold will fall because gold is used as a metal in many, many, many products. Therefore, if there's a recession, then the demand for gold will fall, and therefore gold price will fall. If there's a crisis, then gold will go up. The dollar will go up because there'll be the rush to the greenback, and the dollar is still considered a reserve currency and will be considered reserve currency for years to come. So the dollar will shoot up, and US Treasuries will also be sought after. BTC, Bitcoin, and cryptos will not be sought after because the volatility and the lack of fundamentals will mean they're high risk and people will dump them and the price will drop if there is an economic crisis or a market fall.
It's so confusing because on the one hand, there's clear signs of inflation, possibly even hyperinflation, and yet on the other hand, oh, maybe it's the flight to safety, and it's it's like
it's very confusing. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. I agree with you 100%. And that's where fundamentals comes in, Peter, because a lot of traders, I don't know if your audience are traders or just general people looking to seek for views, but as far as trading is concerned on that particular point, most traders, retail traders are technical, but they don't understand fundamentals. They don't understand what is driving markets, what is really the factor, the catalyst behind that particular instrument or asset moving. So that's where I come in. I'm a fundamental investor trader.
What advantages do you feel that a fundamental perspective has for those that are, my audience is not a financial trading audience per se. I mean, I'm sure there are some traders in the audience, but for those that are more John Q public, technical trading is really where you're looking at the charts, you're looking at patterns, you're looking at, taking opportunities based on certain pattern setups. Fundamental is really more looking at the primary fundamental driving forces behind markets as a fundamental trader. Do you have an advantage over a technical trader?
Yeah, okay. I don't have an advantage, but I have knowledge. And knowledge is power. When you can look at a number and you can say, right, the number is true, not true, high, low, and what impact it's going to have on markets, then that puts you in a position or decision-making decision where you're ahead of the crowd. And most people can't connect the information coming from Bloomberg, CNBC, I don't know, from the government, They say, okay, inflation's up. I'm still going to get an Uber taxi. I'm still going to eat. How does it affect me? And then when you translate that number into how it's going to affect you on a daily basis or weekly, monthly basis, then that's understanding fundamentals. So I like to understand what is behind the numbers. And so do a lot of people also want to understand, but they don't know where to look. They just don't know where to get the information from or how to connect the dots.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Wired for Impact. If you're interested in creating and expanding your impact, be sure to visit us online at impactnow.com.